Please don't scroll. Allow me to share the story of Moses. This is a tale of faith, courage, and a promise fulfilled. Our story begins in ancient Egypt, a time when the Hebrew people were enslaved by the mighty Pharaoh. The Pharaoh, fearing their growing numbers, gave a terrible order. Every newborn Hebrew boy was to be cast into the Nile River. But one mother, Jochebed, couldn't bear this fate for her son. With a heavy heart and a prayer on her lips, she placed him in a waterproof basket and set it afloat among the reeds of the river. By a twist of fate, the Pharaoh's own daughter came to the river to bathe. She saw the basket, and her heart was moved with compassion when she found the crying baby inside. She decided to adopt him, naming him Moses, which means to draw out, because she drew him out of the water. So Moses, a Hebrew child, grew up in the splendor of the Egyptian palace, raised as a prince of Egypt. He was educated in all the wisdom of the Egyptians and became a powerful man in speech and action. But Moses never forgot his roots. One day, he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. In a moment of anger, he struck the Egyptian down and, fearing for his life, fled Egypt. He journeyed into the land of Midian, a vast desert wilderness. There, he became a shepherd, married a woman named Zipporah, and started a new, simple life. For 40 years, Moses tended his flocks, far from the luxury and power he once knew. He learned humility and patience in the quiet solitude of the desert. It seemed his destiny as a prince was over. But God had a different plan. One day, while tending his sheep on Mount Horeb, Moses saw something extraordinary. A bush was on fire, but it was not burning up. As he drew closer to investigate this strange sight, a voice called out to him from the flames. It was the voice of God. God told Moses that he had seen the suffering of his people in Egypt and had heard their cries. He was sending Moses back to Egypt to lead the Hebrews out of slavery and into a land of their own, a land flowing with milk and honey. Moses was hesitant, filled with doubt. He asked God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" He made excuses, saying he was not a good speaker. But God reassured him, promising to be with him every step of the way. God gave Moses miraculous signs to prove his divine authority and told him that his brother Aaron would be his spokesman. With this divine encouragement, Moses agreed to undertake the mission. He returned to Egypt, a changed man, no longer a fugitive prince, but a prophet of God. Moses and Aaron went before the Pharaoh and delivered God's message, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh's heart was hard. He refused. He didn't know their God and saw no reason to release his massive workforce. In response, God sent a series of 10 plagues upon Egypt, each more devastating than the last. The Nile turned to blood. Frogs covered the land, gnats and flies swarmed. Livestock perished. Boils afflicted the people. Hail rained from the sky. Locusts devoured the crops, and darkness covered the land for 3 days. With each plague, Moses would plead with Pharaoh to let the people go, but each time, Pharaoh would harden his heart as soon as the plague was lifted. The final plague was the most terrible of all. God warned that the firstborn son in every Egyptian household would perish. He instructed the Israelites to mark their doorposts with the blood of a lamb. That night, the angel of death passed through Egypt, but it passed over the homes marked with blood, sparing the Hebrew firstborns. This event is remembered to this day as the Passover. Grief-stricken by the loss of his own son, Pharaoh finally relented. He told Moses to take his people and leave Egypt immediately. The Israelites, more than 600,000 men, plus women and children, wasted no time. They left in such a hurry that they didn't even have time to let their bread rise, which is why unleavened bread is eaten during Passover. They didn't leave empty-handed. Their Egyptian neighbors, eager to see them go, gave them silver, gold, and clothing. The great exodus had begun. But Pharaoh's change of heart was short-lived. Soon after the Israelites left, he regretted losing his slaves and assembled his army, including his fastest chariots, to pursue them. The Israelites, trapped between the chasing army and the vast Red Sea, were terrified. They cried out to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die?" But Moses stood firm in his faith. He told the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today." Then God commanded Moses to stretch his staff out over the sea. As he did, a strong east wind blew all night, and the waters of the Red Sea parted, creating a path of dry land right through the middle of the sea, with walls of water on either side. The Israelites walked through the sea on dry ground. The Egyptian army, seeing this, charged in after them. Once all the Israelites were safely on the other side, God told Moses to stretch his staff out again. The waters rushed back, completely swallowing the Pharaoh's army. Not a single one survived. The Israelites were truly free. Their journey, however, was far from over. They now faced a vast and unforgiving wilderness. For 40 years, they would wander. They faced hunger and thirst, but God provided for them. He sent manna, a bread-like substance, from heaven each morning and caused water to flow from a rock. Their journey was not just a physical one, but a spiritual one, a time of testing and learning to trust in God completely. It was during this time that God gave Moses the 10 Commandments. On Mount Sinai, amidst thunder, lightning, and a thick cloud, God inscribed the 10 Commandments on 2 stone tablets. These laws were the foundation of their covenant with God, a guide for how to live in community with each other and in relationship with Him. They included principles that are still fundamental to many societies today, like honoring God, respecting your parents, and not stealing or lying. Moses brought these laws down from the mountain to the people, establishing a moral and legal framework for the new nation of Israel. The story of Moses is a powerful testament to how God can use ordinary people to do extraordinary things. He was a man who went from being a prince in a palace to a shepherd in the desert, to a prophet who stood before a king and led a nation to freedom. His life shows us that even when we feel inadequate or afraid, faith can give us the strength to overcome incredible obstacles. It's a story of liberation, of divine guidance, and of a promise kept. After 40 years, Moses led the people to the edge of the promised land. He himself would not enter, but he saw it from a distance, knowing he had fulfilled his mission. The legacy of Moses echoes through history, a story of hope and deliverance that has inspired millions. It teaches us about courage in the face of tyranny, faith in the face of doubt, and the enduring power of a promise. From a baby in a basket to the leader of a nation, his life is a monumental saga of divine intervention and human perseverance. Comment Amen if you were blessed